Guys, I had someone ask me why I don't sharpen in the house. And I responded, it makes such a big mess. To which he responded, he runs a sharpening service and he does all of his stuff in the kitchen. Let me show you why that doesn't work for me. Guys, on any given day, I might have several different types of steel come in. Spring tempered carbon steel, straight razors, K-bar. This is M390 high-end stainless tool steel, and this is why I can't do it in a house, because it requires everything you see to do those three specific different items. So guys, this is what we're going to talk about here. We are going to talk about these. These are called the matrix stones for the Edge Pro. Now, if you guys remember, I got this stone right here from Big Brown Bear and you should probably follow his channel. He's got some pretty good content. But I got this from him at Blade Show West. Now, I am going to start this by saying I have to admit I was wrong about something, which, I mean, it's not a big deal. I admit I'm wrong all the time. Best way to get to being right is to be wrong a few times. I had made a blanket statement several times that I did not like diamond stones. And what I was basing that on, and you guys know, I kind of changed my stance a little bit when I got these. These are the Venev stones, and they are a bonded in a resin type of diamond stone. Completely different than this, which is what I had gotten used to, what I was used to, what I was thinking about. Anytime I thought of diamond stones, this is what I was thinking of. The old school diamond plates, the DMTs, and it just didn't seem that I got a finish that I really liked out of the DMTs. So I got these from Dwayne Smotherman, and they came in, and I kind of flip-flopped my decision. I was like, these add something that I was lacking, and it's not that I couldn't do the higher, people are like, oh, you can't do them on water stones. The high hardness, high wear resistant steels, people kept trying to tell me you can't do them on stones like this, which is not true. You can, you just have to be patient. You gotta take your time, and you've gotta know how, and you've gotta have the right technique, and you've gotta have the right materials for finishing beyond that. So then I got these, the Venev diamond stones, and I was like, oh, okay, well, those are way better. And I did use them, but the problem I had was, with the Venev stones, I would have to, a lot of times, from the highest grit, then step back down, which I didn't, it kind of ate up time. So, with that being said, I got this stone from Big Brown Bear, and this is the 1100, and it's a diamond. Well, about the same time, I got this 2300, which is a diamond, and I started noticing that these two stones are amazing. And so Big Brown Bear gave me the information to talk to the guy so I could get some information about these stones just to do a video. And lo and behold, in the course of our conversation, a gentleman named David Scott sent me the grits that I'm missing. So currently there are 5 grits. There is an 80, which is on a 300 grit backing because this is a prototype. This is one of his prototype ones. So you have an 80, which cuts. Boy, does it cut. You have a 250, which still super, I'm not going to say aggressive, but super crisp cutting. And time-wise, you're not going to have to spend a lot of time on those. Then you go from there to a 650, and it's a comparable finish on the 650, but when you go off this 650, that's where the change seems to happen. You go off and you hit this 1100 grit stone, and holy crap, the finish, guys, on this 1100 grit stone it's way finer Then I have it here. Then my 1000 grit Edge Pro aluminum oxide. So I started basically leaving this in a drawer, and now I use this as my final actual Edge Pro stone. So you guys know Edge Pro does not make the Chaucer stones. People buy the backings and they make the Chaucer stones for the Edge Pro system, but usually Edge Pro stops at 1000. But with these stones, they went up to, where'd I put it? 2300, and this 2300 is giving me a finish that I'd have to say it's on par with my 5000 to 8000 grit stone. Depends on the metal. There's a few times that I do have to pull out my 8000 grit, but there's a lot of times I can go straight from that 2300 right to a 10,000 grit, and I'm not seeing it change. And I've done a lot of playing around with my personal knives, so that you guys don't think I'm playing around. I did this in that method, and this is my Riat Horizon D in, let's see if we can bring this up here. Try and zoom in on this. It is in, let me see, can I zoom in? M390 steel. So, that being said, I did this knife that same way, and guys, I'm not gonna lie to you, it is every bit as good as it would have been had I went through a 100, a 400, a 600, an 800, 1000, a 2000, a 3000, a 5000, an 8000, and then to 10,000, because I only took this one to 10. So this allows some changes. So, with that being said, I have to go back and say that I'm not gonna say that diamond stones aren't pretty awesome. I think that you've just got to make sure you're getting the right ones. And like I said, David was kind enough to send these to me, and I've used them a couple days now. I used them to sharpen this Microtech. Man, D10 on this one's tight. We'll talk about that later. So I did this Microtech, and this SOCOM Elite. I did not have any issues cutting down and getting a really super fine polish on the M390 here, same as I did on this. So it's not really, it doesn't change the amount of work I have to do. It's still the same amount of work. I mean, it's just, I spend time on these stones as opposed to the time on other stones, and so I'm not having to do as much stropping and cleanup. It just seems that these stones just cut really well. Now, David has got some proprietary way that he bonds the diamonds in this, but the thing that I'm noticing about these is the level of consistency in the grit. So, not trying to knock these stones that I got from Dwayne Smotherman. These are awesome. This was my first kind of foray into the newer, like, bonded diamond stones. And I think that this kind of opened my eyes to what could be possible with diamond stones. So these ones, you will get to a point in the grit on these ones where, yeah, you've went up in grit, but you still are not getting that clean, consistent finish, because I think there is some grit, I don't know, cross-contamination, if you would, on these stones that you're not getting on those. So David did tell me that he checks the grit, he gets them super consistent. There is a 4000 grit coming, I think he said, if it's not already out. But the thing is, these do not dish. These are in a resin. This is a diamond stone in a resin, and these do not dish as badly as my natural stones or the aluminum oxide stones. I've sharpened 4 knives on these, and I'm not starting to see any change in the surface on these. They're still real consistent, really, really clean, really crisp. You know, eventually you do have to clean it up a little bit and lap it down to expose a new layer of diamond, but I haven't gotten to that point. Normally, on my aluminum oxide stones, I would have to kind of clean them up a little bit. And on these Veneb stones, especially, about every other knife, you gotta hit that and clean it up and expose some new diamond, which means that these stones are gonna last longer. So you guys know I like the diamond stones, or not the diamond stones, the Edge Pro stones, and I think this is just a new, I don't want to say it, it's not new, it's just another avenue to go down when you're sharpening, to get to where you're trying to go. So I'm gonna have to admit I was wrong about diamond stones. I said I didn't like the finish that they gave. I may have been wrong. I was wrong. So the thing with these is, the only difference is, the only issue that I have, that I see is, these stones are more expensive. And I don't mean they're like crazy expensive. The higher grits are a little bit more expensive than the lower grits, which is kind of different. Usually your lower grit stones with like the water stones I use, the lower grit stones are usually cheaper. But I think these coarser stones, if I remember correctly, looking on the website, are a little bit more expensive, but the other ones are like $50. And like I said, I've used the crap out of these stones, and I'm looking and I do not see anything that's showing that I have bellied out or dished out these stones. No, still no daylight between them. Yeah, we're not having any issues with dishing on these stones. And I mean, I put them through their paces. Just, I wanted to give you guys a good, honest, how they are. So I have to admit, they're great. And David, like I said, he also has another business. He makes them for Edge Pro. They are not really distributed anywhere else. I wrote some stuff down. So you've got the grits. There's 5 grits right now. The 80, which is this one right here, and you can see. Let me see. Can I get it in focus here where you guys can kind of see? Can you see the sun glitting on that? That's some big abrasive substrate in that. And then the 250, which cuts really, really well. A 650, an 1100, and a 2300. And if you were looking to get an Edge Pro that would do what you want a little bit easier, if you wanted to get a set of stones, if you have an Edge Pro, those would be the ones I would say. That would get you where you want to go. And for somebody that's using a fixtured system, I think you would benefit a lot, because you're not going to have to spend as much time. Fixtured systems just are time consuming. Well, for me especially. But yeah, like I said, the Matrix Diamond Stones, the only place I've seen them is on Edge Pro. I tried looking them up on Amazon. I tried looking them up a couple other online vendors, and all I'm seeing them on is Edge Pro's website. And I do believe that the 4000s, are out, and I may pony up $50 just to see, what's the 4000 look like in comparison to my 5000 grit, my 5000 grit stone, and then along with my 8000 grit and the 10,000. So where does it fall in that? Because like I said, they're marked as that grit. Now the 80 is an 80. The 250 is a 250. The 650 is right in the same area of coarseness as what I'm used to. But like I said, where it does that flip and you're getting a finish that does not necessarily match up to the number that you're getting on the stone is when you hit the 1100 grit mark. So they are a bonded stone in a resin, so you can from time to time, and you can see I did it. It happens when I do Tontos. You'll nick it a little bit, but all I've done is I just nicked it. You can't even feel that. Like, that's not even an actual, like a divot. It's just like it just scratched it a little bit. And that's because they are in a resin of some sorts. So that you guys know, I shot this video yesterday and immediately accidentally erased everything that I needed to do it. So I am readdressing this because I was saying that they were in epoxy. David asked me when I talked to him, he said, who told you they were an epoxy? Because it's not an epoxy. It's a resin of some sorts. It's a proprietary sort of resin that he uses to bond them, and I'm not gonna lie to you, it is great. The other thing that I like about these versus these are set in phenolic, a type of resin, like an type of epoxy. It is hard. These have not worn really either. But the thing is, phenolic is dark. You can see the difference right there on the stone surface. One side of this stone is a little lighter than the other, but one side is darker on all of them. The coarser side is your darker, the lighter side is your finer. But the problem with that is, as that breaks down, you get this black residue that forms, and it's not all just the steel. It is the stone that's coming apart. And the thing that I have a problem with it is, especially if I'm doing something that has been stone washed, it leaves a black line. At first, I thought it was my strop material, the diamonds. I thought maybe my strops just needed cleaned up. But these don't have the same type of bonding material. Epoxy, I use epoxy as, I'll just say it right now, I'm using epoxy or resin as a generic term. I really don't know. So these don't do that. These, yes, you do get a black line that forms, but it's all metal, but it cleans up so much easier, which is what this is for. This is for just cleaning those black lines off of knives after they're done. They cut better, they're more consistent, and they don't leave as much of a mess. Now, am I going to use them all the time? No, there's some stuff I'm going to use these to hog them out because I have them. You know, it just depends. It seems to me that the sharpening system, the sharpening stones that this guy is making are well and above any of the other diamond matrix stones I've seen. So that's it. That's my take on these new diamond stones. David, I cannot tell you, he watches the channel. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you sending these to me. They're amazing. They do exactly what I would want all of my stones to do, is cut quick, cut clean, provide consistent finish, and not wear. You know, there's always that play point. Like, I have ceramic stones. When you put a stone on a ceramic stone, they have a tendency to slip because there's no give. There is no play in that substrate. These are just like the Chaucer stones. They are bonded, and there's a little give. There's a grip. You get feedback. You don't get that so much from a ceramic stone. So I think right now, I'm looking at it, those are pretty much the best in class right now for me for stones. There's other stuff that I would like to try. I don't foresee me trying CBN. I think it's more expensive for something that, if I was gonna just stick with anything, I would stick with the diamond. I think the CBN is just, it's something, it's along the lines of diamond, but it's not as hard. And a lot of people are telling me, oh, you've got to have that because the diamond will dissolve into the steel. If you're doing that and you're generating heat. I don't generate any heat. CBN for me, CBN is something that, yes, for the high-speed cutting industry, for grinding at speed and generating heat, yeah, you want CBN because it won't come and dissolve into the steel like diamond will at temperature, you know, when you're adding heat. CBN for me on a stone, it's more expensive and it's less abrasive. So if I was gonna do anything, I'd stick with the diamond. But that's it. Not to drag this on, not to fucking keep reiterating the same things over and over again. Guys, I'm glad you all watched the channel. I appreciate it. If you haven't checked it out, I do have a Patreon. If you like my videos, give them a thumbs up. If you don't like them, give them a thumbs down. But if you give me a thumbs down, let me know why. Not abrasive. No, I don't be calling people names and stuff. But let me know why and what about the video you don't like. So I have a video set. I'm going to go to Matt's house. I don't know when. I thought about doing it Saturday or Sunday, but I ran out of time. We are going to look at his KME system that he got, which I like, but I don't like, and we'll get into that when I do that video. So you guys take it easy, and I will see you next time.